Welcome to How I AI, the podcast featuring real people, real stories, and real AI in action. I'm Brooke Gramer, your host and guide on this journey into the real-world impact of artificial intelligence. For over 15 years, I've worked in creative marketing, events, and business strategy, wearing all the hats. I know the struggle of trying to scale and manage all things without burning out. But here's the game changer, AI. This isn't just a podcast. How I AI is a community, a space where curious minds like you come together, share ideas, because AI isn't just a trend, it's a shift. And the sooner we embrace it, the more freedom, creativity, and opportunities will unlock. Hello and welcome back to How I AI. I'm your host, Brooke Gramer. And today's episode is a little different. This is a bonus drop between seasons. Season 1 has officially wrapped, and I'm so excited about where Season 2 is headed. There are some real shifts coming, and I can't wait to share more soon. But in the meantime, I wanted to bring you inside one of the most energizing events I covered this year. Earlier this spring, I had the chance to attend Wellist Week Miami. Wellist Week is a new large-scale annual gathering that brings together founders, investors, scientists, clinicians, creators, and brands all focused on the wellness economy. Think of it as the intersection of health, longevity, performance, tech, culture, all in one room. And this was the inaugural year. I'll say it right now, inaugural events hit different. What stood out to me about this event was the curation. This was not a traditional wellness conference full of supplement brands and smoothie booths. Yes, there were conversations about health and well-being, but running underneath it all was a much bigger question. As technology gets smarter, how do we build lives, companies, and communities that are actually more intentional? Of course, AI was everywhere. It's hard to attend a conference nowadays where it's not. But AI was present not just as a buzzword, but as a real undercurrent in almost every panel I sat in on. So today I want to share what I took away from those live talks. And then I bring you 2 exclusive interviews I recorded right there on the Wellist floor. First, you'll hear from Dr. Antonio Vasaiely. He's the Chief AI Officer at Beyond Pilots. He gave me the clearest breakdown I've heard of where companies actually are with AI right now, what agentic AI really means, and how wellness and longevity brands are starting to use personalization in ways we haven't seen before. Then I sit down with Kunal Sood. He's the founder of AudacityAI, and he brought something I didn't expect to hear at a tech conference, a conversation about consciousness, inner work, and why founders need to get their story right before they train anything else. Together, these 2 exclusive conversations gave a real full picture. Antonio maps the landscape. Kunal asks what kind of people we want to be inside all of it. And mark your calendars, Wellist Week returns to Miami April 12th through April 18th in 2027. I'll link everything in the show notes below. All right, let's get into it. Before I bring on my 2 guests, I want to walk you through the AI panels I sat in on at Wellist Week. Because honestly, even before I hit record with any of my interviews, I was already taking notes. Let me take you through what stood out in each session, why I think it matters for you. I sat in on 5 different AI-focused conversations across the event. Each one had a different angle, but by the end of the week, I could see the same 5 threads running through all of them. The first panel I want to talk about was called The Content Wave: Media and the New Attention Economy. And it was really about one central question. How do creators and brands stay relevant when AI can now generate content at scale? The most useful thing that came out of this session was a simple but real warning. If you go into an AI tool without any setup or personalization, you're going to get the same output as everyone else. This makes a lot of sense because we're all collectively sourcing the same data at this point. The room was asked how many people are using AI for content, and then how many actually put that personalized effort behind their tools. Maybe set up custom prompts, told it who they are, what they stood for, and what exactly they do. The number of hands dropped significantly, and that gap is exactly why so much AI content out there sounds identical right now. The speakers of this panel also made a really key point. The kind of content AI simply cannot produce right now is going to be that raw, physical, lived experience. The takeaway was not to avoid AI, it was to get clear on what you can bring that AI cannot generate, and then use AI to support everything around that. The next panel I sat in on was called Content in the Age of AI, and it was centered around digital twins and brand integrity. Jason from Digital DNA Labs opened with a concept I had not heard quite framed this way before. The idea of sequencing your digital DNA the same way you can sequence biological DNA. His company builds AI agents for people and brands, and their whole premise is that your data is the foundation of any AI system that you train. If that data is cracked, the agent will be cracked. If that data is authentic and intentional, the agent reflects that. Jason brought up the important question of whoever controls your narrative in the agentic world is one of the most important questions we are not talking about enough. Kunal, who had moderated this talk, brought the more philosophical layer, as he usually does. AI right now should be about helping you tell a better, truer story about yourself. Not a faster one, not a louder one, a truer one. That is the highest use of these tools for our personal brand and content use. The big takeaway from this session is to think about your data as an asset. What you put out into the world, what you train your tools on, what you allow to represent you, that is going to matter more as agents become more capable. Start caring about the integrity of your information now. The next conversation I attended was one of the most forward-looking conversations of the week. It was called Designing Intelligence, Health Tech, and Leveraging AI Across the Consumer Journey. It was moderated by Kunal and featured two incredible speakers. Nicole Bradford, whose work sits at the intersection of AI and mental health and emotional health, and Eric Littman, a serial entrepreneur focused on HealthSpan, who also invests in this space. The personalization point here went further than anywhere else. The argument was that AI is going to allow health and wellness to get hyper-specific in a way that was never possible before. Don't think about bracketing women 30 to 40. It's more like, what are women experiencing today on a Monday in this very specific state with this combination of lifestyle factors? That level of individualization in mental health and preventive care, nutrition, recovery is now on the horizon. And the companies and founders building toward that now are going to be significantly ahead. Eric also made a key point about founders that I want to highlight because it applies to a lot of people listening to this podcast. He said most tech companies do not fail from lack of opportunity. They die from congestion, from taking on too much, spreading across too many directions, losing the thread of what they're actually building. Clarity and execution matter more than ever. That really hits home for me. I recently sat in on a tech wellness demo here in Miami, and their MVP pulled me in so many different directions. I couldn't really understand what they were trying to be because they had so many lanes they were trying to occupy. AI has the potential to address some of the hardest challenges in health, mental health, access, and prevention, but only if the people building it stay focused on the actual human outcome. The next panel I sat in on touched on the age of credibility and navigating AI-powered transparency. And it put two people on stage who were doing the work right and were not afraid to name what is going wrong elsewhere. Chris Marable, the founder and CEO of Novos, a longevity and biotech company, made the argument that is going to stay with me. He said AI is not automatically unbiased. The room went back and forth on this argument, and he had a very specific example. If you ask a leading AI tool what the best longevity supplement is, one of the top answers that consistently comes back is resveratrol. But actually, experts in the field will tell you the science on resveratrol is deeply contested. The reason AI keeps recommending it is because a prominent researcher championed it heavily, and AI is over-indexing on volume and reputation rather than weighing the actual quality of evidence. This is a meaningful problem in wellness because right now AI is letting brands sound scientific without being scientific. You can go into ChatGPT, summarize the research behind your individual ingredients, and put it on your website. It looks like science, it reads like science, But if your actual formula has never been tested, if no one has studied what happens when those ingredients are combined, that is not credibility, it's a well-dressed claim, he stated. Novos shared they run double-blind studies, placebo-controlled, on their actual formulas, not just individual ingredients. They are transparent about what studies are in progress, what the endpoints are, and what they do not know yet. That is the standard. And the speakers on the panelists were doing the same, using AI to challenge their own claims before anyone else could. The takeaway from this talk was this. In the wellness economy, credibility is becoming a real competitive advantage. Not AI-generated credibility, earned credibility. And the brands that build it now are going to be in a very different position when consumers and AI systems start getting better at asking harder questions. The final session I attended I want to cover here was called Building, Running, and Scaling in the Age of AI. And it was one that felt most directly relevant to how any of us are using AI in our day-to-day work. Dr. David Rock, who has spent decades studying the brain and organizational leadership, opened with a framing I found really clarifying. He said much of the wealth created over the last century came from reducing the physical effort people had to put in. Machines did the lifting. And now we are in a new phase to reduce the mental effort. AI does the thinking, or at least parts of it. And that feels good because thinking is hard and our brain actually registers this mental load as a threat that should be avoided. But here's the irony he pointed out. Using AI well actually requires more thinking, not less. Specifically, what he called metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking, to notice what you are doing while you are doing it, to stay present inside the process instead of delegating it anyway. The people who are getting the most out of AI are the reflective ones, not necessarily the technical, fluent ones. He also named 3 things organizations are struggling with when it comes to AI adoption. The first is a third of employees are either actively resisting AI initiatives or fully checked out because it triggers all 5 things people care about: status, certainty, autonomy, belonging, and fairness. The second is cognitive capacity. People are overwhelmed, and adding new tools and habits into that does not automatically go well. And the third is building new habits at scale, which requires clear definition and repetition before it sticks. Antonio, the moderator of the panel, added research from his own doctorate that I thought was striking. When people fully outsource a task to AI, they get the result faster. But when asked how they feel about their work afterward, satisfaction drops. They feel like their skills are not being used. They feel disconnected. When people collaborated with AI instead and kept their judgment in the loop, it may have taken a bit longer, but their sense of meaning and contribution went up. The best outcome is not AI doing it for you. It is AI and you solving it better together. The key underlying threads across all of these AI panels are AI is not replacing the wellness or health business. It's becoming the intelligence layer running underneath all of it. Personalization is no longer a marketing word. It's now technically possible to build products and experiences tailored to you specifically, and that is going to raise the bar for everything. AI can help you build real credibility, but it can also help you fake it. And the brands doing the real work are going to be in a very different position when people start asking harder questions. Your data is already building a version of you, so what you put out and what you train your tools on matters more than most people realize. The most valuable thing you bring to any AI tool is your point of view, and that is the one it cannot create for you. Those were the conversations at Wellist. Now, let me bring you to the people I sat down with directly. For my first one-on-one interview, I'd like to introduce Dr. Antonio Vasaiely. He's a Swiss-American computer scientist, AI strategist, and entrepreneur. He's the chief AI officer at Beyond Pilots, and his work focuses on helping companies and investors actually understand what AI can do for them, both inside their products and inside their operations. What I appreciate about this conversation is that Antonio is not an AI hype person. He has a doctorate in the intersection of artificial and human intelligence. He's been working in this space long before it became a trending topic, and he's very honest about what these tools can and cannot do right now. All right, here's my conversation with Antonio. Antonio, good morning. It's such a pleasure to host you on the podcast today. I would love for you to open the floor and share with listeners a little bit about your background and where you are working at the intersection of AI today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Brooke. Really excited to be here. And yeah, I mean, wellness is a personal passion of mine. Wellness, well-being, both physical and mental, is something which I believe is of utmost importance for everybody, especially in the tech space, because things are changing so much. So my name is Antonio Vasaiely. I'm a computer scientist, technologist. I'm an exited founder myself, and right now I find myself a lot in the intersection between large organizations and companies want to understand how they can actually work with AI, adopt AI, both in their products and services, but also a lot of excitement by founders and investors to understand a little bit better what this technology can do for them. I did actually my bachelor and my master's in computer science, software engineering with a major in AI, and I have my doctorate as well in the intersection between artificial intelligence and human intelligence.
Beautiful. If you could share a little bit about your talks. You have 2 talks that are happening during Wellist Week. What made you want to bring this conversation to light today?
So I'm very excited about the well-being space, as I said before, and the intersection between technology, wellness, and well-being is very interesting as well. There is a large gap between people's understanding of what the technology is capable of doing, and generally speaking, humans are not very good in adopting new stuff and change their ways.
Right.
But with AI, it's slightly different because everybody realizes something's happening there. A lot of people are using large language models already, so they have some exposure to the technology. But in fact, artificial intelligence is so much more. And it's not a new technology. It exists for many, many decades in different forms, different capacities. What I'm very excited about and what I will be speaking about here at the Wellist is how do we, on one side, use artificial intelligence to achieve some of the productivity gains we need as humans, individuals, organizations to really focus on a mission we want to solve, the problem we want to solve. But on the other side, how can artificial intelligence be a fundamental part of the products and services we're bringing to market?
Yes.
If you think, for example, about the topic of longevity, it's all about personalization, it's about your ability to understand the consumer, the user, and target with your treatments and your supplements and your life science company really individuals' needs and demands. That's what I'm very excited about.
Can you share which companies, for example, we just heard Equinox speak about data and personalization. Where else do you see individuals doing it right when it comes to really tapping into the power of data and AI, specifically within health and wellness?
So we are very early stages when it comes to some early adopters. I think it's much closer to reality when an organization says, hey, we are playing around with the data we have at hand and what we can do with that, how we can, for example, understand our users, our consumers, our clients a little bit better. Because we've been collecting data for a long time now. And a lot of organizations have chief data scientists and chief information officers. We've been looking at, how do we organize our data? Now, when we move towards more of the advanced segments, such as understanding how we can do drug discovery, how we can integrate AI into the products and services we are still very early stages. Things like personalized support and service, where AI is kind of the first responder to certain questions and concerns of the consumer, is very exciting. I see a lot of companies doing that because it's very advanced. That's kind of natural language processing, for example. But when it comes to more application of AI in longevity, discovery, then we are still very early stages.
And what about yourself and trends you've seen within your workplace? I'm curious, what major changes do you think we'll see specifically with health and wellness a year from now?
So I'm a little bit biased because I'm Swiss American, so Switzerland exports and develops a lot of scientific products and services, especially in the AI space, but also in life sciences, things like longevity, treatments, pharmaceuticals. So Switzerland is really a leader in that. I think one of the trends I'm very excited about is once we move beyond the basic applications of AI right now, which is more in the large language model space, we are going to get to a space where we are using AI agents and agentic AI much more fluently. I don't think it will happen in the next year or so. It will still take, let's say, 3 to 5 years, where across the board we will see agents engaging, interacting with humans, and really automating certain things which are currently causing a lot of friction and a lot of stress, because we don't really need that. That's what I'm very excited about, because I truly believe each one of us will have their own personalized agents, trying to figure out stuff for us, making our life easier, getting rid of a lot of friction we see today, and let's say booking experiences or finding the right treatments. And that will really be something which will be transformational for humanity.
Absolutely. Since you're probably a very early user and adapter, I would love to hear more about you and how you use AI either in work and life and some of the biggest benefits that you've seen.
So one of the things obviously I do, and there is no secret about this, as a consultant and executive advisor to individuals and companies, I use AI every day. I mean, I would waste my time and the time of my clients if I wouldn't. But in the end of the day, you have to be very mindful of the fact that right now there is not a lot of intelligence in these systems. They are very much looking at the probability of the next word or the next pixel fitting into the overall picture than being really able to do something very innovative. So I'm very cautious and mindful about the limitations of AI today, but I'm using it every day to create content, to summarize my ideas, my thoughts, but I'm not allowing AI to basically take over what is fundamental to who we are, which is the human aspect of things. So everything I do is still very personal to the way I would do it. And then I'm looking very much into how I can automate certain processes with AI. I mean, I would be foolish if I wouldn't try to automate, summarize emails which come into my inbox, hundreds of them every day, using AI, summarizing them. But I try to always keep kind of that personal touch to everything I do for myself and my clients.
Speaking of personal touch, I know that you are going to be speaking about digital twins today. Twins and clones are such a hot topic right now. A lot of people are replicating their IP and creating agents and the ability to be omnipresent. You know, if you need a coach or a recommendation at 2 a.m., you've got it. But where is that fine line of keeping it still personal and authentic and intact to just creating something that is just going to make money for you all the time?
So the balance will really be about what is it we want to achieve. If we want to give 24/7 access to individuals for, you know, not maybe call it medical advice, but some general advice, conversations and exchanges, then I think it has its place, and these digital twins are very powerful to achieve that. And I think there is a place for that, because, you know, myself as an advisor, I cannot be 24/7 available.
Yeah.
And there are certain things which I say or do which should be, generally accessible for everybody to just tap into.
Yes.
On the other side, of course, there are some more powerful personal experiences individuals are looking for. And those ones I would definitely keep more in the personal realm and the human-to-human engagement.
Yes.
So there is the fine line and the true understanding of what is it actually people are looking for and seeking, and is it more into the pure digital play, or is it more into the human-to-human engagement?
Antonio, my final question for you, because I love the opportunity to interview guests international. I would love to hear your perspective on how Switzerland is approaching and reacting to AI. How is the government creating precautions? I'm just curious, like, what's going on in your home country and what you see different of how America is reacting. Do you feel like it's more regulated, less regulated?
Yeah, so Switzerland and America are actually very similar, very, very commercially minded environments and economies. So that's good. I mean, I also grew up in Germany, and it's a totally different story over there.
Yes.
It's highly regulated. You know, in Germany, they spend 10 years debating about stuff before you even have, access to it to really understand what the potential is.
Yes.
We don't even have to go into the sphere of talking about the amount of investment, startups and founders get in the traditional European places compared to the United States. Switzerland is extremely innovative. I mean, with the ETH and the university in Lausanne, you have places that create 3 to 5 times more ventures compared to even the United States.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy, the amount of technology which comes out of the country. For 15 consecutive years, Switzerland has been the most innovative country in the world. So I think there is a lot of pros in that space. What I love about the United States is really this ability to just try stuff. There is no fear of, fail and error. People are very open-minded about trying things. Again, it all comes with its pros and cons, but I love the place I am right now in as kind of a Swiss/American, where I can really have that innovative mindset from Switzerland, but also the ability to work with extremely like-minded, business-minded people here in the United States to try things out. So it's a very fortunate place I'm in. And I can operate. And I love both environments. I'm trying to be here in Miami in the winter, over in Switzerland in the summer, generally speaking, and, enjoy the both.
Well, thank you for that insight. And if listeners want to follow your work and get in contact with you, what's the best way to connect and reach out?
Well, right now, I think LinkedIn is probably the best to follow me. My Instagram is still a baby Instagram. It's growing, but LinkedIn is probably the best. Antonio Vasaiely. If you look me up, you will find me. And I will be publishing more of my research and the work I'm doing and the collaboration I'm doing over the time as well. So yeah, more to come.
Great. I'll be sure to link that in the show notes. So thank you so much for your time today. And I look forward to your talks coming up today and tomorrow.
Thank you so much for having me, Brooke.
Now, if Antonio gave you the business and strategy layer of AI, Kunal Sood is going to bring you something else entirely. My next interview is Kunal, the founder of AudacityAI and We the Planet. He is a Forbes-recognized impact entrepreneur who has organized more than 50 high-level summits at the United Nations and built public-private partnerships with organizations like NASA and Google. He was a TED resident, and his mission is very clear. AI cannot just be about optimization. It has to be about who we are becoming while we use it. All right, let's dive into this conversation. It's about to get deep. Okay, Kunal, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
I'd love to open the floor and give listeners the opportunity to learn more about you. If you could introduce yourself. We are here today in Miami at Wellist Forum, and we got a chance to meet here, and I got to experience you moderate some cool AI tech panels.
Yes.
So first, let's hear all about you.
Oh boy, all about me. I'll keep it very short. I'm the founder of AudacityAI. Prior to this, I had two companies, We the Planet and We the Future. My life in the world of well-being started in my own personal journey, where I was working at the intersection of weight loss and well-being. Okay. And my dream was to create the ultimate human being, which was a mix of a doctor, warrior, and a yogi.
Wow.
And that was actually in undergrad. I studied that after I gave up my fashion career as a fashion designer. I moved draconianly into integrative medicine and well-being as a design junkie. Wow. My dream was to create the world's first integrative health and wellness center in India.
In India, that's beautiful. Tell us a little bit more about AudacityAI.
Wow. So AudacityAI really is a culmination of 48 years of all my life's work and journey. It has a lot to do with the fact that I believe we don't really have an AI technology or resource problem right now. What we really have is a leadership problem. And I would say now even that has become secondary to the real problem, which is, we talk about climate change and climate action, and the global grand challenges and crises in the world are climate change. And I feel like that's not the greatest challenge either. What is our greatest global grand challenge here and now is consciousness itself. So the inner climate, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I feel is most important when it comes to well-being. It's that ability to really attune to your inner world and have that inner transformation first, allow for you to attune and be coherent with your outward life and impact. And we're at Wellist, and it's an amazing forum, and I was able to be part of a few of these panels as a speaker as well as a moderator. And what I see a lot of people doing is over-indexing on the ego.
Yeah.
Like everyone's trying to outshine, outsmart, outperform.
Right.
And this is something that I also see myself doing. So I'm not innocent, but I try to hold myself to a higher standard because of what I do. But even I see myself, oh, how am I going to one-up this guy so that I sound more intelligent in the room? So because of that, I feel like we're losing compassion and empathy.
Yes.
And that's what Audacity AI is about. It's not about the dark side of Audacity. It's embracing the light of Audacity, understanding what it means to be an enlightened leader, starting with well-being as a fundamental reason for being human in the age of AI.
Well, I didn't feel that way at all witnessing your moderation and interviews. The way that you led the conversation was super thoughtful. One of my favorite questions that you asked the room, which got me to really get to the human behind the business for each person, was, what is your founder story?
Yes.
And I'd love to hear that about you. Like, how did you find yourself at the intersection of AI, tech, and wellness?
Oh my God. Okay, so I had 3 distinct experiences in my life. One is I was really obese as a child, right? So I was more than 350 pounds, and I don't even know how big I was because the scale wouldn't go. Then I lost 200 pounds and I became 150. And I became really obsessed with well-being.
Yes.
And I became super obsessed with the idea of being fit. Right? So that really inspired my first life. Then the second life was really inspired by the idea of integrative medicine style, because I was a fashion designer. And finally, the mental health aspects of being well. So mental well-being, to me, is very important.
Yes.
You can be beautiful on the outside, but if you don't have that sense of peace, inner peace and harmony, you're still not going to be fully present to life itself. Right? And the final frontier of what I've done for the last decade, and that's how my AI cells got inspired and activated. I actually got into, I brought TED to the United Nations. And when I curated the first TEDx at the UN, it became like this, almost like this supernova event and moment where I was exposed to so much amazing work. And then I went to Singularity University as one of their, GSP fellows. And when I was there, it was like being in a cryo chamber, like Superman, being taught all of these things I'd never heard of in my life before, like AI, nanotechnology, robotics, automation, the future, singularity. I didn't know what the singularity was.
Right.
And then I met Ray Kurzweil himself, Peter Diamandis, everyone, Elon Musk, you name it, anyone and everyone just became part of that ethos. And I became a champion, right? Because I knew my superpower and I brought it back to life, which was curating and bringing some of the most amazing voices to stages like the UN, to Google, to India, to the boardroom, to small intimate dinners where we could have, Chatham House rules, talks about what's the future of being human, not only in the age of AI, but just the idea of what it means to be a leader in this brave new world. And that's really where it started. That's where Audacity and the vision of being an audacious founder and leader began.
Wow, that's incredible work. It sounds like you've been in a lot of the right rooms to set you up for all the experiences that you're curating here and now, particularly about the talks at Wellist Forum these past couple of days. I'd love to hear what in those conversations stood out to you the most, if there's anything that you'd want to share.
I feel like there were 3 talks that I loved. One was by Lisa Miller, who was a dear friend and New York Times selling author. And what I loved about her is she centers you in your human being. You see, because we're born human beings, and then we spend a lifetime understanding and studying the art and science of being human.
Yes.
And it's not far from the experience of what we need. We just need to tune deeper into ourselves.
Yes.
And to me, that's something that really stood out because you can over-index on wellness. Meaning, and I've had this conversation with a couple of people, it's so fascinating how they resist because their ego comes in. And I said, well, wellness is very important as a foundation, but don't over-index on it because it can become a very self-centric path. And the guy was like, to each his own. So I said, yep, that's exactly what we don't need for the future of humanity, and especially in the age of AI.
Yes.
We don't want to be to each his own. You were talking about this earlier on, which was so powerful, that it's being propagated that, people can create billion-dollar companies with 1 person or 2 people.
Yes.
And to me, that is not the goal of being human. The goal of humanity is to learn empathy, to understand, be compassionate, to be able to be in a beautiful community. There are 4 pillars on which Audacity is built. The first is Seva, which is service. The second is Sangha, which is building a trusted and beloved community. The third is Sadhana, doing the inner work so that you can transform from within to actually have a meaningful impact on the world out there. And finally, it's to find your Swadharma, which is going beyond what you do every day as a job, and really find your calling and align that with your deeper purpose in life. And that is the power of AI. It's going to allow you to take back time.
Yes.
Right? And time is the one thing, even I actually am not driven by money or wealth or power. Love and time drive me the most. Because love is something that is very abstract but powerful, and we're all in search of it at some level in our lives, whether it's self, other, or the universal love we speak to.
Yes.
The second piece of which is time. When it comes back, it can be a devil's workshop. If you don't fill it up with the right reason to be human or be in the room, it can very quickly become destructive.
Yes.
So to me, that is something that is at the heart of well-being. It's to curate and cultivate that positive mindset and being able to go from mindfulness to beingfulness. And so how do we go from just like doing exercise after exercise to quieten your mind and be at peace, to really become peace, become love? And to me, that's not abstract when it comes to ASI and AI, because it can actually guide you and track you. The whole point of the digital twin that we talked about yesterday.
Yes.
And to me, the whole idea of AI, if you want to really build powerful AI, don't do it yourself. Treat it like a child, right? It needs a mother and a father. It shouldn't be the father alone.
Right.
And that's what I'm hoping will happen in the future of who we are and how we architect AI. It's like you ask yourself, who am I? But then you have to also answer the I remember yesterday I said the new question, which is who am AI?
Right.
And that's the singularity. That's when AI and humanity become one.
This was such a big topic today, how to mindfully use AI. And one of the questions I love to ask is, how do we make sure we're not outsourcing our unique value to AI, and make sure that is what we are putting out into the world? And I'm curious how you would suggest that people really figure out what it is that their secret sauce is, and that they're not giving that to AI or try to have AI replicate that. How do you make that distinction yourself, and how do you see others doing it well?
It's interesting you say that, because this morning, I feel like one of the guys really touched on the fact that AI can feed you things that make you believe you're an expert, or even without really understanding it, give you a lens as if you are this person, when that might not be who you are.
Right.
The greatest regret of the dying. Do you know what it is?
Definitely not. I would wish I worked more.
No, definitely not. So you read the book, most likely. Yeah. So it comes from a book by Bonnie Ware, The 5 Regrets of the Dying.
Yes.
The number one regret is not living a life that's true to yourself and leading one that's expected by others. In the age of AI, what's even worse is if you outsource your trust to AI, it's going to curate who you are, right?
Wow.
It's going to literally start to design and engineer who you are, because you believe this technology is omnipotent. So we can become omnipotently more powerful and still be like sharks that eat each other in the womb.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing I believe that can happen today. If we don't really do the inner work, if we don't stay connected to that idea of being together, which is such an important part of being human. So for me, that's the most important piece of this reality, is to be in relationship with our own humanity, but also with each other, and still enjoy the idea of doing meaningful things together.
Yes.
Right? Not just letting AI, be the reason why we live an automated life. Then we'll end up like WALL-E.
Okay. I love it when people reference that movie.
No, but I'm just saying it's a terrible dystopian future of humanity, because everyone's like obese and and now we've got infobesity, which is worse than obesity. with AI, they're just dumping data in. There's no filtration process. And the ones who are filtering it are doing some good work, but they don't have the cash or the ability to scale like most other foundational models. So to me, that is going to be a very important piece of it. We shouldn't have data become obese.
Yes.
The next pandemic, because the number one pandemic in the world is obesity.
Such an interesting point. I haven't heard that one yet. I wrote down so many little innuendos that came out of this conference.
Yeah.
That's going to be one of them. So.
I mean, if you think about the wellness, the worst problem with wellness, even second to tobacco, is obesity. Right? And infobesity is even worse because that's the idea of not being able to process data. And that could be really bad for us.
Yeah.
Because that'll lead to cognitive erosion, right?
Totally. Yes. A little overwhelming for our nervous system. We're in an age where we're, like they mentioned today, are the most knowledgeable generation. We have so much access to data and information, but at one point is it too overstimulating and overwhelming, and we need to just return back to ourselves.
Exactly. How do you come home?
Yes, for me, it's definitely more digital detoxes, outsourcing my thoughts less. Like, do I really need a sounding board to this, or do I need to just kind of go deeper into, I still find those moments of going for walks, taking a shower, going to the gym is when I have my most clarity, because it's like I disconnect and can go back to my body. So one final question I'd like for you, just for this mini interview, because we will for sure have a full extended conversation forward.
And you're going to be in my podcast.
Yes, we will pod swap. What is the most important thing for founders to know right now when it comes to AI, and any perspective you have there?
There's one thing I know for a fact the founder needs to become a master at.
Okay.
Their story.
Their story, yes.
Because their story will become their reality, especially in the age of AI, because you are literally training the AI on that story. So make it a good story. Make it one that is massively impactful, meaningful, and something that serves something larger than you, yourself. And I think that is going to be the biggest and the most important thing a founder can do in the age of AI is get their story right.
Your story.
Because the rest of it is like blocks in a puzzle now. But to actually tell a coherent story that allows you to really rip through the noise and become signal, that's going to be very important. Noise versus signal. There are going to be so many people that are going to fake it till they make it, talk about this being the next OpenAI. We are the OpenAI of this, and we are the Grok for this, and we are the Anthropic of the future. Tune all of that out and really get clued in and zone focused in, draconianly focused in on getting your story right in coherence with who you are, right? So start with why if you have to, but also ask yourself, who am I? And the more you ask yourself, who am I, you will also understand who are we, which is you and your team.
Yes.
And they'll understand that. And then you can answer the grander question, which I pose, which is, who am AI? And that AI can be your best friend. And then the agentic AI can work with you.
Yes.
Right? Because then you become a beehive. You become a superorganism, right? That's the whole point of life itself, right? The most important thing in life is to be able to be united in action. And the one quote I really love is Margaret Mead's quote, never doubt the power of a small group of committed citizens, for though they are the only people that can change the world. And indeed, that's the only reason anything has really changed in the world.
It's very true. Such beautiful final words. I always like to give the opportunity for you to share how can listeners connect and reach out to you and learn more about your work.
Oh yeah, so kunalsood.ai is my handle on Instagram. And then, of course, you can reach out to me on email, which is kunal@audacityai.com. Yeah, those are the two best ways to reach me in the public domain. You, of course, have my direct line, so you can reach out to me anytime. And also, the infinity loop between agentic AI and human AI. The human-centered force of AI is something I'm very, very committed to. And I believe that will be best architected by women being front-end leaders,
Wow.
just like the men. So that's what I believe is the most important thing, is that we lead together.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is why I love amplifying as many female voices as I can
Me too.
along the way, too.
Me too.
So thank you so much for that beautiful
Thank
share.
you.
I really enjoyed our conversation,
Me
and
too.
we can't wait for the next one.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much. That wraps up this very special bonus episode of Wellist Week and my coverage of the inaugural season in Miami. There are some real changes coming to the show for season 2, and I genuinely cannot wait to share them with you. If you are not already subscribed, do that now so you don't miss anything. And if this episode sparked something in you, share it with a founder, a creator, or someone you know who is trying to figure out where they fit in all of this AI landscape. Thank you for joining How I AI. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. If you're tuning into this podcast, you're most likely an AI advocate, and you may have also wondered how to support your body against the invisible stress of EMFs. Think Wi-Fi, cell towers, or hours in front of your laptop. Lila Quantum products are lab-tested in triple-blind studies and are proven to help harmonize and neutralize EMF signals. Their products are the few things I felt a real energetic shift from. I personally wear their Quantum Energy necklace daily. And if you're someone who cares about optimizing your energy and nervous system like I do, explore their offers with my exclusive discount link below. Have you just started exploring AI and feel a bit overwhelmed? Don't worry, I've got you. Jump on a quick start call with me so you can walk away with a clear and personalized plan to move forward with more confidence and ease. Join my community of AI adopters like yourself. Plus, grab my free resources, including the AI Get Started guide, or try my How I AI Companion GPT. It pulls insights from my guest interviews along with global reports so you can stay ahead of the curve. Follow the link in the description below to get started.